Earl Jazz Johnson here with head of Showtime Sports, Stephen Espinoza. Stephen, how are you?
I'm great. I'm excited.
Tell us why you're excited.
Well, we got through a press conference without a major brawl, so that's immediate excitement. But we've got a great event. Tank's been building slowly over the last few years, but to get to the point where you can sell at the Barclays Center doing the biggest boxing gate that they've done, in their 40 events, it's just a testament to where he is, and it's exciting to be along with the ride from someone making their first foray into TV, their first appearance on Showtime, all the way through getting them to headline a pay-per-view in the biggest city in the world.
Talk about the growth of Tank. You talked about it earlier. I was in the audience when he won his first title to now.
Yeah, and it started earlier than that. I remember Floyd telling me roughly 2016. He was an undercard of a Broner event in D.C. at the Armory, and Floyd was there uncharacteristically early before TV started, and I was there, and he said, "Look, I want you to watch this kid. This is, he's the next superstar." And that's the first time I saw Gervonta in person. And so to go from that point 6 years ago to barely fighting off TV on the undercard to now headlining his fourth pay-per-view in New York City, doing record-breaking great gates, it speaks to his charisma, and the way fans have responded to him.
What impressed you the first time you saw him?
There's a ferociousness to him. He's one of those fighters who flips a switch. That he's a different guy outside the ring, a little bit shy, kind of quiet. He's got a baby face, and then flips the switch in the ring and becomes a mini Mike Tyson. I mean, it's sort of a cliche, but that's because he's stocky, and just comes swinging for the fences. People love that style, and I think they love seeing someone like that transform into sort of a monster in the ring, and then going back to sort of a normal human being when he steps out.
You mentioned him being called a mini Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson calls him his favorite fighter. What does it mean when Mike Tyson co-signs a fighter like that?
Look, Mike's a historian. Mike doesn't say things lightly. He watches all kinds of combat sports, from MMA to boxing to kickboxing. He's a true connoisseur. So there really isn't higher praise, a higher compliment that you can get from Mike than to say you're my favorite fighter. And I know that meant a lot to Tank, probably more than he'll even admit. But there's something similar. There is an appeal to sort of just your primal instincts. Like this is somebody who's coming in with bad intentions. You knew that with Mike. You know that with Tank as well.
How does it feel to be putting on the first ever pay-per-view boxing event at Barclays Center in Brooklyn?
Actually, I had not thought about it. We've done so many events at Barclays Center that I hadn't occurred to me that we've never done a pay-per-view there. This will be our 22nd event at Barclays Center over the last 10 years. Of course, there was a 2-year break because of the pandemic, but we always wanted to do a pay-per-view in New York City, and Barclays Center, once they became the hub of sort of East Coast boxing, we came close. We talked about bringing a Mayweather fight here. We've talked about bringing Tank fights here before. We've talked about bringing a Wilder pay-per-view fight here. And for a variety of reasons, things just didn't happen. But I think it's phenomenal. Like, pay-per-view events in Vegas are great, but it's also good for boxing to get these mega events outside of Vegas, take them to LA, take them to New York, take them to other markets, take them to Atlanta like we've done with Tank. It's important for the sport, and to get people the payoff of those boxing fans who come to the small shows and the medium shows, and to get them able to go to a big time pay-per-view show. It's great for the fan base, and it's great for the sport.
For the boxing fans watching, talk about the upcoming events that Showtime has.
Well, we announced our schedule back in March, a really busy schedule. We're right in the middle of it. And, this is, between the Charlo undisputed fight and Benavidez and Spence, There's a lot to sort of root for and look forward to. But once we get past this weekend, next up is probably what might be the sleeper fight of the whole card in Stephen Fulton and Danny Roman. We've done a lot of good fights. Like I said in the press conference, we've gotten 4 thrilling fights in a row, 4 stoppages, from Fundora to Spence to Charlo to Benavidez, and I'm predicting a 5th stoppage, in the main event here. And then next week could be the most exciting fight out of all of them. I mean, I think just Stephen Fulton and Danny Roman, a great mixture of sort of boxer puncher, and I think they're both so technically sound, such active boxers that's going to be a phenomenal fight. Then we've got a ShowBox at Hall of Fame weekend, which will be, a great star-studded card just because you've got so many big names being inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. And then right after that, we're going to Houston on Juneteenth weekend for a Charlo fight. And, the Charlos, last year the Charlos did our 2 biggest ratings, and that's what I expect this year as well. Benavidez did a great rating. Jermell did a phenomenal rating the week before. And Jamal, I think, is going to do a big rating. We already see that the gate is doing really, really well. This is the first year that Juneteenth is a federal holiday. It's a 3-day weekend. It's a big weekend in Houston, and I think that's helping the gate.